Hmm.
Where am I? Oh, okay.
Good
Hold on.
night. You see me?
I see you.
Hi.
It's the great and wonderful Anna. How are you, Anna?
Good. How are you, Nat?
I'm doing great. She wears glasses.
Yeah, I have contact lens or glasses. Yeah.
I was talking about your video.
Ah, yeah, yeah.
Wears
Exactly.
glasses.
Yeah, exactly. Do you wear glasses, Nat?
I sometimes wear glasses.
Okay. Do you have
Only
them?
when I read small print. I just
Okay,
I,
okay.
I'm going into this thing like I hate to admit that I have to wear them.
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed we're doing like the I'm on the bottom and you're on the top thing. That works too. Is that the way you're seeing it as well?
But it's okay. I mean, as you like. I mean, I'm
Sure,
not,
it's okay.
but now I see it. Yeah. Mensch, Nat, and you are in the impressive room, in your impressive machine room.
Well, I don't know how impressive it is, but
I think it looks amazing. I mean, for me, it looks like a total fantasy. I wish I could visit you.
it is a fantasy. It's complete. It's obsession and fantasy, right?
Wow,
You know,
wow.
I mean, I get the way I am. I get fixated on something, and I just go and go and go
Yeah,
and
yeah,
go.
and you go and go. Yeah, that's why you're an artist.
Well, yeah, I guess
Yeah,
or a byproduct of it. But
yeah,
yeah, I'm definitely a person of obsession.
yeah, totally, totally.
Total
I'm
obsession.
too. I'm too.
Of course. Why else would we do it,
That's
right?
why we met on Instagram, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think you can meet easily people with obsessions on
Well, you
Instagram.
recognize it, right? Like you see it's like there's an alignment. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
It's like you recognize, you see an obsession,
Yeah,
and you're
totally.
like, oh, I know that, and
Yeah,
then you follow
okay.
into it, and then
Hmm.
you recognize certain parts of it with the other individual, and then parts that are
Hmm.
different. That's the intriguing part, right? Because we
Absolutely.
like the differences too,
Yeah,
but we also want to see that common alignment or thread. It's really
totally.
important.
Totally. And I think when I saw your work on Instagram, when I noticed it, I thought like, whoa, this is this strong energy. It was like, whoa, who's this man?
That's how
That's
I felt about your work too. Yeah.
really okay.
Oh,
Good.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You
But
recognize it. You see it.
mm,
It's like it's not even like an intellectual thing.
no,
It's something that just hits you viscerally. You
totally,
just,
totally.
it's like a lightning bolt.
Yeah, totally. And you also see, I think, very quickly if the artist behind this Instagram page, if the artist is really about communicating with other artists or just like using it as a website to
Mm.
present the work. So you also see that very quickly.
Oh yeah.
So with you, like you ticked for me many boxes. Like I saw your energy and your obsession, and your music is totally my cup of tea, and your obsessive paintings is like whoa. And also that you are communicative. Sorry, my English. Communicative, and that you are really interested in interaction with other people. And I
Oh
think
yeah.
this is so important.
Yeah. There's a lot of really interesting art that's happening right now, and
Hmm.
and of course, I mean, even in a selfish way, we want to see where we fit in with what's going on, in juxtaposition, because it's one thing feeds the next thing. We don't exist without the other thing. You know,
Absolutely.
we are in relation to it.
Yeah.
So I'm always looking at things, and it's self-analytical to a certain,
Mm-hmm.
to a certain degree. And
Mm-hmm.
then it's also just, being fascinated with things. I love to look deeply at what other people are doing. It's interesting. I want to
Yeah.
be interested in something.
Yeah, yeah, and you have to interact, I think. I mean, I recently what I thought about, so with my English, I have to try explain. Hopefully I get this.
Well, you do much better than my
Yeah,
German.
okay.
I speak
Okay.
2 or 3 words, so yeah.
But I think often when you read artists' biographies,
Mhm.
often the beginning is more interesting than the middle part or the end part of their lives, because in the beginning they're interested in interaction with other people, like the surrealists. Yeah, for example, Buñuel, the you know really interested doing things with people together, not even knowing what's going on, just doing things. And and later they live from that, you know. It's so important, the interaction, because I think if you don't interact with other artists, if you just have your thing, I think, which I see with some artists nowadays, they have their thing, they promote their thing, but they're not interested in interacting. I feel, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong.
I know, I think you're absolutely right. I mean,
And I
you know,
think it's not the fault of the people. I think it's because of the capital system
mhm.
forces people to find quickly their thing, promote their thing, and not um, push the communication with others. I think it's because of the system. You know, I don't want to put the
Sure.
fault on the people, but I think that's so bad for art. It kills the art. If you find your thing and promote your thing, and that's it, you know, then it's like a product.
Yeah, a
So
lot of it's completely egotistical as
yeah,
well.
do you have a
You know, I
drink?
mean, oh yeah, absolutely. I'm
Okay.
I'm having a Caddyshack. It's iced tea, lemonade, and vodka
Oh, okay. I
from the
haven't.
Natty.
Cheers.
Yeah. No, I mean, some of it's also self-interest and egotistical behavior. You know, because I mean, you know, let's face it, a lot of artists are super, self-consumed.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
you have to.
you know what I mean? And it's like, you try to interact with them, and you see a common thread, and you friend them on Instagram, and they don't follow you back, they don't care, and you know what I mean. But it's really weird. Like some will have this kind of thing, like where they want to place themselves higher than you. It's like
Mm,
like an artist hierarchy of some
mm,
kind that's like based on nothing, because none
mm,
of us are really making any money anyway, right? So,
mm,
but
mm,
they think that if they can kind of do that, that somehow that they're perceived at a higher level than they
mm,
actually are, when they're not. I mean, or maybe some people do kind of fall for that, because I mean there is a bit of a self narrative
mm,
projected outward.
mm.
So if you believe something about yourself and you project it outward, then there's going to be a portion of people that are going to buy into that as well, right? So
But it's a power game, and I think a lot of people, they only take serious things when you play the power game. If you don't play it, they don't even take you serious, you know? It's
yeah,
and I think it's not only in art, it's in every field.
everything. Oh,
Every field
absolutely.
can be in a startup, or it can be, I mean, whatever.
Yeah,
Even
it's baked
on the
society.
playground, you know, when I watch my son, it's like every.
It's the same way when you go straight down into primates. If you ever watch primates, and I've
Mhm.
I'm interested in all kinds of things, but they build a hierarchy too.
Mhm.
And it's really fascinating and vicious. How they are. They do raids on each other. It's
Mhm.
horrific, really. If you actually watch the primates interact with one another,
Mhm.
it's fucking horrifying,
Yeah.
really. And I don't, we're just doing a more advanced well, I don't even know whether more advanced than that. I guess it depends on what part of society we're talking about, because
Mhm.
certainly, humans are doing some very vicious things,
Yeah,
all the time, right now, and it's been this way forever, but wow, we're really going off into an existential kind of conversation, but yeah, you're right though. I mean, I don't want to be that way, it's like I feel like um having enthusiasm for what other people are doing and showing it and showing that support, that it's a feedback system, it kind of comes back to you,
Yeah, that's a
and
topic a lot in your work, I think, feedback system.
yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Because
feedback.
what we focus on,
Mm,
what we focus on comes back.
mm,
It kind of it feedbacks onto itself.
mm,
And
mm,
I definitely believe that. I mean, it's true for sure. Because I mean, we've tried. I mean, I've tried it. And I can
mm,
see the difference that it makes.
mhm.
What you focus on, pushed out, becomes to some extent real. You
Yeah,
know.
to some extent. How, you never know, of course, but
No.
but something does happen. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely, and without the belief, it will never happen. It will
yeah.
never happen without the belief. It just doesn't happen. You don't hear people say, "Oh, I made this great thing. I
Mm.
didn't think I could do it. I totally didn't believe." I mean, at some point, they are believing they can do it, or else they wouldn't, put themselves into the act of creation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally make sense what you
So there
say.
has to be a belief in it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a. So, what are your next projects? Can you tell something about your next projects? Is there something
Well,
you're working on,
yeah,
or?
I was going to ask you first, but okay. Yeah, I mean, right now I'm really concentrated on my series.
Mm. You really, my God, how many did you do? I mean, maybe you can short say about the series in case some people watch who don't know the series. Maybe you can
Oh,
say.
right, right. Well, I wanted to move into a longer format, you know, like maybe like an hour format, hour and a half format, or short film format. I started thinking about short film format first, and then I moved my concept, what I'm going to allow myself to do into a bit. I'm allowing myself to think bigger, right?
Mm, of course,
Um,
you have to.
and yeah, you have to, right? And
Hmm.
so, Instagram works for about 90 seconds,
Mm.
before it asks you, it
I think
prompts you.
even 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm pushing that limit. I'm taking it right up to the 90-second mark.
Mm,
And I thought, well, um, because like it's hard to concentrate like on a bunch of different things at once. I'm a person that I'm an obsessive person.
mm,
And, I like to focus on a thing,
mm.
and really focus on it. And so I thought, well, how can I, I'm getting the most amount of views on Instagram, and I say most amount of views, it's not that many views, but it is what it is. It's I'm doing better with that than the other
But you
platforms.
have your fans, you have people who appreciate it. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
you have your
Surprise.
group. I mean, that's what it's about. And you have quality. I mean, there's no use of having many clicks and no interesting comments. I mean, you have interesting
Yeah,
comments.
absolutely.
You have
Yes,
quality.
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, in a way, the people that are following me are super creative, intelligent. I mean, they must be, right? Because they're following me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course they're intelligent. But yeah, so back to the thing of like, why the series? I want to
Mm,
make a big project, but I want to, use Instagram as well.
mm,
Instagram works about, like you say, 30 to 90 seconds tops, right?
mm,
So if I can segment it, and do it, like think of like each thing as a scene,
mm,
so, or
mm,
I've kind of lifted that idea. It's a series, but really they're scenes.
mm,
So each post is a scene, and
mm,
then all this collection of scenes will eventually become a sequence in a short film or a movie.
mm,
And that also makes it less daunting, because if you're thinking about making a short film, or this obviously, it's like it's such a time commitment, and you're spending all this time, and then how do you cultivate an audience and do
mm,
a film at the same time?
mm, mm,
Because there's all this, shooting a film is all this time away from posting, unless you're just doing it kind of like a diary, like how people do, and that's
blogs
okay.
or
Not
something.
what I want to do. So I'm kind of thinking of like each post as being its own thing, and then part of a greater, um, you know, thing.
So it works alone. You can watch it alone, and it
Yeah.
works as a total thing. And I think what is remarkable about how you use sound, I think, is extraordinary. I think
Thank
it's
you.
really, really good how you push the images with this sound. I'm a big fan.
Thank you. I kind of see it as a big collage.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like an abstract painting or something. It's
Yeah.
sound, the visual, the text. All
Mm,
these are just collage elements,
mm, mm,
right? And,
mm,
and and whenever you place them together, they start to have like
mhm,
a relationship.
mm,
Whether
mm,
they either resonate or not. Because it's like I saw a post by someone I follow, a really good photographer, Blue Calypso, and she said something to the extent of changing. When you add a title to an image, it changes the image,
yeah, totally. Yeah.
right? And I love that. And and all these different relationships that you make between the different media, whether it's film or images you're creating in Photoshop, or sound or text or voice, any of these things, how you place them together starts to create a relationship.
Mm,
And it can mean something completely different depending
mm,
upon which pieces you put together. So it's just like a collage piece. If you had, a magazine and you were cutting images out of it, and you're placing images together to get a visual relationship, to maybe get a narrative within this collage piece. it's the same. You can do it with all media, everything.
With all, and you can mix all together. Yeah, absolutely. I
Well,
mean,
you do it
I think,
wonderfully.
yeah, I also see myself as a collage artist. How I do
Oh
music,
yeah.
how I do everything is actually a kind of collage technique. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah. It's free association as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see that. That was one of the first things I noticed about your work. Because you have sound elements, but it's so weird because like there's a point of reference. Like your point of reference may not be my point of reference, or
Mm-hmm.
someone else's point of reference. Because you play a sound, and if someone's heard it before, they trace it back to the thing that they remember hearing it from, whether they do this consciously or not. Usually, a lot of this stuff works on the subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so you hear a sound, and and then it gives a certain feeling based off of where you heard it originally or how it's developed through your life and time. Same thing with an image, because they're like symbols, right? They're all symbols,
Mm-hmm.
and how you place them together changes the context, and that you do that wonderfully. I mean, and it's
Thank
great
you.
because it's like when I watch your videos, it's like I'm like in a surrealist dream, and and I love, and of course that makes sense because all these symbols
Mm,
lie in the subconscious and in the dream world, right? They're in the dream. So you're
mm,
kind of like working beyond like in a different kind of logic,
mm,
so it's
mm.
not like this, regular like we're talking conversation logic. It's sort of like it's like a dream logic,
It's a
right?
dream lodge. Yeah, yeah, in a way. Yeah, yeah, in a way. But you too, I think.
We both, that's what we
So
see in each other.
we're both
Oh
totally,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
we both do this. Yeah.
We have a total dream logic. Yeah, yeah. So okay, so you want to continue with your little format. So that's one thing, and we
Yeah.
still have to do our radio play.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
still,
yeah. It's interesting now you're calling it a radio play because that's the way I see it too.
hmm,
Because it feels like old time science fiction radio.
yeah.
I
It's like
love that.
Orson Welles, Orson Welles.
Exactly, Orson Welles. Yes. Mm. But the idea that you had about adding like some visual information to it as well, just like as an overlay, like something that they can look at, while they listen, I think is a great idea. And our
Hmm.
audience right now is completely lost because they have no idea what we're talking about,
Yeah, no,
right?
yeah, that's good. That's why we stopped talking about this. It's
But it's
better.
going to be great, right? It's
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
be
yeah, yeah. But we still, I still have this in mind, and we will not forget this. Yeah, yeah, we will not
no,
forget
it's
this.
a long project, right?
But have you thought of doing actually? Have you ever did an album, Nat?
Yeah, I've done lots of albums.
But have
Yeah,
you
I mean,
done a record?
well, not under my current format, like, not as a, like a podcast audiobook kind of thing, but I come from a musician background,
Yeah.
so for decades of, little child musician into, eventually art and film, you just keep
Which
going.
instrument did you start? I mean, you're like a real professional musician.
Well, no, I was a professional sound engineer for
Yeah.
a period of time, like where I was mixing bands and I worked in the studios for quite a few years. And that
Mhm.
was great, really hard to make a living doing that. And then I moved into sound design, where I was, like, different like people who do like commercials and movies and such would buy
And
my
you
stuff.
always, and your machines in the background, you use all of them.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah,
Could you
yeah,
do,
yeah.
could you show? Could you do a schwenk? Could you do a
I can't
schwenk?
because it's on a desktop, and
Ah,
honestly, it's so embarrassing. It goes on so long that it's like
no.
people would just be like, "Oh no, this guy's so
Oh,
messed up."
oh, next time do you have a mobile phone? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Next time when we talk, you have to show me a schwenk. You have to show
A
me.
panoramic view,
Oh my God,
insane. I
beautiful.
mean, it's again, it's just obsessive behavior,
You use
But
all of them, or is it mostly?
well, yeah, I mean, but for specific things, it's kind of like you imagine like being in a kitchen, and you have all these different ingredients, and all these different spices and such, and you're not going to pull it all out for one dish, you know what I mean? But you're
That would taste terrible. That would taste
it tastes
terrible.
terrible, right, right. Do you think, well, what is it that I want, and what are the elements in it that, are going to really, bring out the flavor, and how would I cook it up? And I'm a terrible cook, by the way, but I mean, I can make a mean sandwich, but yeah, but it's that kind of idea, so you imagine it like I guess like how a chef would imagine it, or an
Okay, so
artist.
you
It's
take like
paint.
sometimes you stand there and you take one element and then one, and then maybe that's enough.
Yeah, it's not like everything all hooked up at once, you know. And actually, I mean, a lot of times it's very concise, small setups, you know. And I'll kind of like imagine a thing, and then work within the context of a smaller setup, you know. Even though it's very large in its whole, but you know, you're taking just like if you go to Photoshop or something. I mean, like, you know, there's all these different, you know, things that you can do, but you're not going to do them all at once. You know,
Yeah,
you're
of
going to
course.
draw from, you know, what you need it to be, you know,
And less
what's
is often
content.
more. Less is
Yeah.
often more.
Oh,
Sometimes more is more, but often less is
that's
more.
right. More is more. That's
More is
true.
more. I mean,
More
never
is
say
always more.
never. I mean, that's my motto. Never say never. More can be more, less can be more. I mean, you know, you never, you know, try it out, experiment.
Absolutely. Try it out and experiment. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I
You
see
see,
it too.
yeah,
Because like
yeah.
not all the time am I going for something specific. Sometimes I'm just allowing myself to just you know, just explore something, you know, just explore it, you know, try something out and have that time to experiment, because experimentation, you know, this
Yeah,
is
it's awesome.
so important, you know.
That's why I love to
You're
work with
experimenting
you.
as an artist, you know. You have to try new things, you know. You have to,
Absolutely. If you
it doesn't even
don't,
matter the end result, you know, it's a process,
it's
you
a
know. It's a process, right? Everybody talks about the
That's the
process.
fun. That's the thing with art. Like the process is so much fun and it's so exciting. And when it's finished, even when it's good, when you think it's
Yeah,
good, the excitement is so quickly over. And then you go to the next process. I mean, the end product, the joy of the end product is so short, but the joy of the process and the pain also, of course, is so much more intense than this
absolutely.
when you
Yeah.
have it, you know, when you have it, you're like, oh, this is good or not so good or whatever. But then it's over. And then you go to
I
the
remember,
next.
I can't remember exactly the quote, and but it was a Salvador Dali quote
Mhm.
where he was. I mean, I'm just going to butcher it, so I'll just, you know, I'm paraphrasing, but you know, something to the extent of like, you know, he doesn't ever want to make his best work
Yeah,
ever, because then it's done.
then it's
You know,
done. Finished. You're
done.
dead.
I mean, where do you go from that? You know, I mean, do I
Mm.
become like a pro football player after that? You know, it's like there.
But you know,
Maybe, because you know, I could be a pro football player, right? Obviously, but but yeah, I mean, you know, it's really that, you know, well, you know, it sounds cheesy to say, but it's the journey of the process, you know, the
absolutely.
experience.
I mean, there's one good thing, I think, of not being a success. I mean, successful artist, what is a successful? I mean, of course, successful artist is you are creative and you do your thing. That's successful. But in society, successful is you make money and you are shown in museums or have huge concerts. But what I want to say, what is good when you are not successful, you know what I mean, as
Yeah,
an artist, you're always in this kind of beginning phase. You're always in this good creative phase. You stay because I think like when you have like the success, you get stuck in the success and you lose a certain naivety or a certain freshness. So there's something really good we should cherish.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know
Well, I
what
mean,
I
at
mean?
that point, like, yeah, at that point, like, there are results that are expected. You know,
Yeah.
if you make a film,
And it's like a
or
big,
and yeah, you sell all these copies, and it's like, well, you know, what do you do after that? It's like it's
it's
either
really
the end of the
difficult.
story, which it
Mm,
usually is,
mm,
especially for, you know, musicians. You know, you make your great record, and it's like that's fucking it, you know, because you're
mm,
not going to make anything better than that. And also too, it's like there are the expectations of everyone else who really, there's a
mm.
whole psychological thing with that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, once you're making money, and it's, you know, it becomes a thing for sure, exactly like
It
what you're saying. You know,
change, yeah, change a lot.
yeah, I mean, and in a way, I agree with you. It's like, in a way, I don't know. I mean, you know, money's like a weird thing. I mean, like, I would like to make money because I'd like to
Of course,
keep
me
people.
too. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, you know, wouldn't it be great, you know, to hire actors and have sets and scenes and have people do some editing for you and lighting and these sort of things. But then it's like, you have to explain these things, you know, and warrant these things, and follow a budget. And then you have other people looking at your creative process and wanting to, you know, critique it and have their
mm,
hand in it because they're financing it. And when you're like you and I, we just do whatever the fuck we want
yeah,
all
yeah,
the time,
absolutely.
period. You know, it's like, you know what I mean? And that's the creative liberty is a
Absolutely.
wonderful thing.
Yeah, I think there is a real freedom I really cherish. Also, I know there is, yeah, you just, it's important for me that I have some creative friends like you. Not only be alone, I think is not so good. Only be in your living room and do your stuff. You need an interaction. And this is already a lot. Like for me, Instagram really had a positive impact on my life, on my creative life, that I met so many wonderful creative people who are up to my street. You say this, up to my street? Up to
Well, I don't know, but you may not realize this, Anna, but like in a way, you're sort of like the hub of this. Like I see you kind of.
What's the hub?
Hub is not the right word, but like you, in a way, what you're doing is sort of the center of this
Oh,
sort of.
yeah.
No, I really do mean. Like, it's one of the things that I saw on you too. Like there's like it's like everybody's orbiting around you, and I mean, and everybody's in their own orbit, but like um you're very I think it's because you're so positive. In a way, you're like Glenda, the good witch from the Wizard of Oz. You know what I mean? Like, you have like this magical kind of positive
Really?
thing going on, and
In our little group, in our little
yeah,
like
no, it
politics,
is sort of
yeah.
like a collective in a way. It's a
Yeah.
loose collective or a loose scene or
It's a
however
loose
you want to speak.
collective, a loose scene, I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, we're not doing. I mean, you and I are doing something similar, but not everyone in this is doing something exactly similar. But there's a thread that
Mm,
kind of, like a relational, contextual thing that's going on. You can
mm.
see a pattern kind of happening. We're all
Of
kind of
course,
interested in each other,
of course, and
and
also an influence. You can also see
oh yeah.
certain influences. Totally, yeah, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. It's a wonderful thing because if you have an idea and other people pick up on it, it kind of
Mm.
strengthens that idea. There's a feedback system
Totally.
that
There's a
happens.
feedback system. Yeah, yeah. And you need this. And yeah, I think really it's like, I mean, I notice like some people complain, a lot of people complain about Instagram, which I understand because it's only
Yeah,
about numbers and it's inhuman. And but it's really a matter how you use it. You really, if you look at it as, oh, I don't have enough clicks, I mean, then it's terrible. It's a nightmare. But if you look at it as, do I meet people who I can collaborate? And if you do, it's a success. I mean, this is how I see it. As long I find people who I can collaborate with, then it's a success. But otherwise, it would be terrible. I mean, waiting for the stupid likes.
yeah. I mean, you can pay for likes. Apparently, I've never tried
And
to
you can
get.
even pay for it. Yeah, I often get this.
It's like
Oh,
it's
terrible.
just an ego thing. It's like it's not. There's no substance or reality to it.
Mm,
Outside of projecting a perception that's based on nothing that's true.
mm. Yeah.
Um, and I'm not interested in that, and you're obviously not interested in that
No, no,
either.
no.
You know,
No,
it's
I
it's
also got offered like not only pay or this kind of snowball system that if you like
pyramid
certain kind
scheme.
of
Yeah,
people, they like you. And I mean, it's okay when people do it, I don't want to judge them. But for me, it's like, no, I don't want to start with this kind of thing, Either
yeah,
the people are interested or not.
absolutely.
I,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to like, please like me. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's like begging for attention,
Yeah.
and I don't want to be in that. The
Mm.
work should, I mean, again, a cliche, but the work should stand for itself. You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely. And
you make
it's
a thing, and they either like it or not. You're not going to make it so they do like it.
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
that's Hollywood. I mean, that's what they're doing. I mean, most of the films that are being put out, I wouldn't be surprised if half the scripts aren't being written by AI now and
Yeah,
algorithm.
yeah. And already for a long time. I have the
Oh
feeling,
yeah.
not only since I have the feeling for a long time.
Yeah, well, I think once we realize about the technology, it's a couple years old, probably. It's kind of horrifying when you start thinking about it that way. But for sure, I mean, there's a lot of money being spent into this technology, and they're not going to let it out into the public in
Mm.
any kind of fast pace.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I
what we're
agree.
getting is
Totally what
kind
you
of like
say.
an aftermath of all this stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, you read articles online and you can tell they've been AI written. And the scripts for sure. And I mean, there's all these statistical things, and you see them inserting it into the narratives, and God, it fucking insults my intelligence, and I'm sure yours too. It's like you see these like narratives just keep popping up and popping up in movies and popping up in movies over and over and
It's the
over and over and over
same.
again. And it's
Mm.
like they're doing it just so they can be, just so that they can include it. I mean, just so that they can be financeable, so that
Mm.
they can actually get the money to
Mm.
make the movie. So if I put this narrative in the movie, or
Mm.
this thread or this idea, then I can get financed for the movie, and then the movie will, be put out. I mean, how fucking horrible. I mean,
Yeah, it's always very, I also find it's always, yeah, I'm a bit bored also. Even
oh,
if it's like really clever made, but it's then clever made and it's with a certain formula. I'm just bored. It's just
oh yeah,
boring, I think
it's super
then I
boring.
really prefer sometimes so-called bad movies where unexpected things. I
Absolutely.
think it should always be a new experience and unexpected things should happen. But if it's always, for me, many films are too well done, too clever and too unsurprisingly. You know what I mean? It's just too, I don't know, it's too much for me. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, at any point with something that you or I do, we
Mm.
can insert something into the narrative of the movie that is absolutely shocking and unexpected, just because we decide to want to win. I think about the thing that we did together, A Natural Preference,
Mhm.
and like the way that there's you're so good at this. You have this way of like showing something that's super real, hyper real,
Mhm.
like a train ride, and with
Mhm.
it coming by you, and then all of a sudden there's this black apparition that appears, and
Mhm.
it's like it's so shocking,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know, because
it's
it's
dark.
supernatural, and like it should never happen in reality, but then here it is.
Mhm.
Um, and that the way of like doing that juxtaposition is fascinating. I mean, I'm not saying that they don't do that, but in well financed movies, but we
Mhm.
can do that as much as we want,
Mhm. Mhm.
at any time we want. It's at any time we can just flip over the game board. It doesn't matter anymore. We can clear the table and just, start a completely new narrative. It just,
Mhm.
we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that's
that
the
is an
thing.
incredible freedom to do
Yeah,
that.
that's the freedom we have. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We don't have to please anybody. And yeah, it's yeah, yeah, but yeah, so with the album you said, so you have never did a LP.
Oh, well, not a physical album. Well, I mean,
Would you be interested doing a physical album?
um,
Because there
yeah,
are people
maybe.
who buy it. I mean, there is a wave, a new, how you say, more people again are attracted to the
Yeah,
physical.
yeah, vinyl and
Yeah.
cassettes and that sort of thing. Sure, yeah. I mean, there's a whole, cassette thing. Especially with like drone music and this and such, and like noise tapes, and I've enjoyed some of that. I've thought about it, but there's an investment in it,
Yeah.
and also too. I mean, just at the moment, I'm really thinking just about the video art format. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm not sure how that's ever going to turn into money, and I hate to think about that.
Mhm.
I want to keep going, so at some point,
Mhm.
it's going to have to turn into money for
And have
me.
you thought about doing live?
Yeah, I did a lot of that, in my 20s and 30s. I'm an old guy,
I would
and
love to do
but
it live. I mean,
I'm
it's so
so old.
unfortunately, yeah,
I'm like a
but yeah, but you could also sit in your laptop,
I
you
can
know.
have a cane and sit in a wheelchair and have oxygen while I perform live, and it'd be great this way, and very entertaining.
Why
Um,
not?
well,
Why
no,
not?
no,
Yeah,
I didn't. I mean, what I meant was, I didn't mean I'm too old to perform.
too old.
What I meant was I've just done so much of it. Like through my 20s
Okay,
and
so
30s, I've
so
just
you're
done
not so
hundreds.
interested.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's like there's a this thing kind of like where well like I remember playing CBGBs in my 20s, like in New York, and
Wow.
I remember thinking like, oh wow, it's like such a big thing, and I remember looking through the Rolling Stone magazine, and I saw a picture of the Talking Heads, and they were like sitting like on this red couch, like in the dressing room. I thought, oh fuck, CBGBs, this is gonna be great, and of course I'm thinking about like, you know, all the bands that played there, in the late '70s, or all the the no wave bands that I love,
Mm.
like
Mm.
But like Teenage Jesus, and and just these different, like, Swans and this sort of thing. But you get there and it's like, oh wow, this is like a, the couch, it's like in a room that's like 8 by 8 foot. I mean, it's like, and it's like it's a shithole, and you're there with 8 other bands, and no one gives a shit at all that
Mm.
you're there.
Yeah.
It's really just, how many people did you bring on your bus trip to New
Yeah, I
York?
know. It's always really, yeah, it's really
Yeah,
tough.
there's a stark reality to it,
Yeah, of course, it's a strong
because like you get there and it's like,
really
and
tough.
it's hard to make money doing. I mean, not that money has to be the thing, but there is the real aspect of
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, but it's
traveling and hotel rooms, and all this sort of thing, and promotion, and having to pay potentially musicians to play your material, because how many people are really interested in playing your weird fucking music, like
yeah, I
almost,
know
you
it's
know
a thing.
so you have to entice
Yeah.
them with some thing to do it, which only lasts for so long, and then you have to pay them, so the gigs have to pay, and if the gigs don't pay and you go to someplace in fucking Toledo,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
you show up and there's like 3 people there, which
it,
I've
mm,
done that,
it's
it's
big challenge. Yes, it's big challenges. I mean, like
oh yeah.
I working since 2 years on a music album since two
Mm,
years,
right.
and next year it will come after 2 years. So much work, and I also have to think now how to, you know,
Mm,
just put it digitally. So I do want to do a album, even if, just for me, just to see,
sure.
do a little imitation, a little album. And I want to do also live. First, will start in Berlin, and I will start how it goes and see if I like it and how it works. But it's a total new world for me to do.
Yeah, you've played live before though, yes?
Yes, but it's something different, your own stuff. I mean,
Oh,
like
sure. Yeah, yeah.
others, but like the complete responsibility on me and singing, because I'm singing on this. This is also different when you just in the background. So yeah, I'm pretty scared and excited, but
You want, I'm sure.
yeah, yeah, and it's so I wished we could live on the self-continent, but then because then I would organize like you do something, you do some nice
I
noise,
play in your band, Anna.
or you
Uh-oh.
play in a band
Great.
on the laptop, and we do like some visuals, like it's like I wish we could do something live together, but maybe we could do, and we only have 2 minutes left, and our
Yeah.
talk is finished. But I wish we could do a certain kind of performance thing together.
Well, I think in a way,
Maybe I fly to America, Ned,
yeah, well, yeah,
one
please come to
day.
America, yeah. It's a real
Where
circus
are
here.
you? In Baltimore. You are in Baltimore?
Well, no, I'm in between Baltimore and DC. I grew up in Baltimore, and I
Yeah.
lived there for through my early teens to 20s. But it's a crazy town. Yeah,
Crazy.
no, I mean, that in DC, but yeah, now I'm in a suburb, so it's, um, but I think in a way, y- y- about when you're saying about playing it live and cultivating an audience and this and that, I think that in a way that's probably going to start here, like on our main Instagram platform. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? That's
Hmm.
where you're going to generate enough interest, you know,
Hmm.
in order
Yeah.
to fill shows, because it just doesn't go the other way around. I mean, 'cause it's impossible to reach people in an area, unless they're, I mean, back in the day, we used to do flyers. You go to a club and you print out flyers, and you meet people and you hand them a flyer and say, "Oh, I'm in a band. You should come out. Have a couple drinks with them," and that's how you would entice people to see your show. But today, I'm not so sure. I think it has to go the other way around.
Or both. I mean, I think the
Oh,
live
oh,
thing
yeah.
is pretty. I mean, if you want to sell albums, live is important, I think.
Oh, absolutely,
Because
yes.
otherwise, you just have a release digital online, and nobody would buy it. I think this live thing, and if you can win the hearts of the people, then you can actually sell maybe something. Otherwise, you just, nothing happens.
Yeah, yeah. You're like another Bandcamp artist
Another
with
band cannot.
yeah, yeah. You
Unfortunate, yeah, but that's the reality. That's how it is. And I think you have to do something. Oh, it's only 1 minute, Nat. Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. Fast, right?
It's so, but the time went so quick. And I think for Instagram, that's probably enough. I think we cannot do more anyway.
I agree. I agree. well, we
Yeah.
could go on forever, but
We can go on forever, but for the
especially I could, because, but yeah, no,